Hey guys, Darren Carr here, coach of Wise Ocean Pods, and welcome back to another episode of our trade and preview series. On today's episode, we will be previewing round 5, and we'll be talking about the most popular trade in and trade out targets to come. So, without further ado, let's sort of just get into it. So, again, AFL on the AFL Fantasy website, I've gone to stats and gone to Coach's Choice. So, starting with the most traded out, I think I normally start with the most traded in, but I thought I'd change it up today and start with the traded out. So, quickly run through some of these. James Jordan, I think that's an excellent time to trade him out. Really hasn't done what we sort of expected him. Has been okay. At the end of the day, he's done his job and made us over 100k from his starting price and has put up some decent scores for us. So, more than happy to jump off him now. Just really needed a ceiling score like a 90 or 100 to really get that cash generation going, but just hasn't been able to do that and has really looked quite poor in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, definitely more than happy for him to jump off at a good price range now that you can sort of get him up to, those top line guys like a Flanders or, around that area. So more than happy for him to go. Blake Howes, very similar to Jordan, has made the money that we're sort of looking at. He's been one of the better cash cows for us so far this season. Really started strong with obviously quite averaging over 70, then dropped off in the last 2 weeks, which has been quite unfortunate. Don't really know why he has dropped off. I don't know, just as rookies do, they can get tired pretty quickly and put up these horrible scores for us. So yeah, definitely time to move him on. He's going to bleed some cash now with a break even of 55. So yeah, he will definitely lose cash this week if he plays, which he's got a green dot, so he will play. And yeah, he's got a tough matchup against the Brisbane Lions, so that could hurt, especially if you have him on field. But I'd say no one really has him on field at this point with a few other options. So he can probably go. He's at a good price range as well. And there's plenty of good downgrade options as a defender. Moving on to Brodie Grundy. I am in the same boat as most people, being the third most traded out. I've been really trading Brodie Grundy as a mid-pricer so far. Just hasn't been doing what we sort of expected of him, being a good starting pick and, being that solo ruck. We sort of expected a bit more from him. At the end of the day, he has made some money, so that's been okay. It's now just a perfect time to jump off him, being at his buy, and yeah, bringing in another ruckman to cover him for this round is ideal. So yeah, definitely time to jump off him. There is a world where I am more than happy to hold him. He's not doing terribly that you don't need to move him. Not doing enough for me. He's not going to make a huge amount of money from here. So yeah, I'm more willing to move off of him, just given it's his buy and there's other prospects that are ripe for the picking, I'll say. Nick Dacos, I'm surprised most people are still jumping off him at this rate. Like, we're considering most of us are going to jump on in, say, 3 weeks time and say next to Essendon, even after Essendon. Yeah, I think it's just a waste of a trade at this point in time. Just hold him. You've held him to this point in the season. Just hold him. Don't trade your premiums. Your team will be better off for it at this stage. So, Massimo, I would love to trade him as well. Has looked quite poor in the last 2 weeks, putting up a 16.55 for many different reasons. One was a lockdown role, and one was just poor time on ground and just didn't look like getting around it. So he's going to lose some cash now with a 68. So hopefully he can, get to that and not lose too much money for us owners that are holding him. But my sort of plan with Massimo is to hold him for the next 2 weeks until we get to post round 6. And then we can start moving these guys on because we can start bringing in some midfielders when, you can throw your Martin and your Bonner back and, you got 2 other rookies there. We can throw in Roberts and McKercher. So we definitely won't need these mid-priced defenders anymore, and we can get those other guys back there and start filling in our midfield, which we all know provide the most points for our team. So that's all I'm really waiting on for these sort of guys like a Williams and a Damrosier. So, but if you've got nothing better to do, definitely more than happy for him to go. He's not putting up the great scores, and I think downgrading him to a Closey could definitely be the right option because Closey has shown he can score at a a similar, if not a better rate than Massimo at this point in time, at a much cheaper rate. So, yeah, definitely happy with that. Roberts, probably, I can see why people are doing it, given that his buy, his break even slowly getting up there, but I still reckon he's probably 2 to 3 weeks early. Just looking at his projected, projected price rises. He's probably not going to score 55. I think that's pretty low, and against Hawthorn as well. He's probably got another at least 50k to make in my head, so I'm not looking to move on him at other times, especially with other issues at this point in time. But look, it's worked in the past. I'm happy for people to jump off if you got nothing better to do. If it gets you to the player that you want, yeah, more than happy for you to jump off him. Just not something I'm looking at doing, and it's not the worst thing in the world to hold him, because we do have other guys that can fill in like a Sharp, who's on most of our benches, who can just come straight in, and it's pretty much a like for like, if not, yeah, a little bit better. So who knows with that one. Toby Pink, I can see why people are jumping off as well. Just obviously he's a red dot, move him on, doesn't need to be there, and there's a good Closey is technically an upgrade option from him, being about maybe 15k more expensive, but yeah, definitely good to move on your red dots if you don't have some mid prices that are doing worse. Obviously, cash generation is king at this point in the time of the year, so I would also be loving to do that, but I've got other priorities at this point in time, so definitely a good trade there to move on him. And similar to Massimo, like I said, Zach Williams can go as well. I do think it's probably 1 or 2 weeks too early, just with a break even of 48. He will make some money still to come. Not a huge amount though, maybe talking 30 to 40k, if that. Would be lovely if he can get up to 600k and actually pop like a decent 80 or so. Just hasn't really shown that sort of scoring potential just yet, and I believe he's got a tougher matchup. Just quickly look. I think his class is a general defender. I'll have to double check after this. But Adelaide, oh no, he's got Adelaide this week, so that's a good matchup. Let me just double check his classification. Sorry. No, he's a designated kick outer. Okay, let's change that then. Yeah, and it instantly switches to a bad in that matchup. I don't know how it determines that, but yeah, be an interesting one to look at for him for now. Yeah, I can see why people are doing it. I'd be happy to move him off of him. He hasn't looked great. So, again, if that coin on his head gets you to the player that you want, say you're going with a James Jordan and a Williams, you go into Flanders and a Closey, that's probably the perfect trade, and you can do that as long as you're getting that trade to the top line guy on one end of the trade and getting that cash generation going on the other side. I'm definitely more than happy to do that. So, good trade there. Sexton, we've spoken about him a couple of times in the past. He needs to go. Lazaro, watch for teams. I think there's more rumours that he may be back in this week. I think the club's come out and said that it was a bit of a management for him where he had a bit of a niggle. So he's could be coming back in this week. So if you still held him, then he may be one to look to hold, because his break even isn't terrible. Like, it's 20. But I think most of us have red dots or other rookies that can go before him in this case. So big watch on that one. Nick Caulfield, yeah, move him on. Like similar to Toby Pink, he can go. Just to downgrade him. Zach Reed, similar. Marty Hall, very similar. Very similar fashion for most of these guys. Just obviously all red dots on our bench, and we've been crying out for that defender rookie. So great trades there if you can get off a red dot. Christian Salem is going to start losing some cash now. 107 break even, has looked horrible in the last 2 games. Really not putting up the scores we sort of expected. Now he has, got the keys to that backfield, back line, and is that main distributor back there. Just isn't getting it done. He's lost that midfield role, so yeah, definitely time to jump off. He's got plenty of coin on his head, so he can get up to that top liner. It's just disappointing at his price, unfortunately. Seems like a bit of a sideways trade, but yeah, it's just unfortunate with him. Nick Watson is injured. I don't actually know how long he's out for. He's got an 8 break even, so I wouldn't be moving on if his injury wasn't too long. Let's just have a quick look. 3 to 5 weeks. Yeah, I guess it's get him moving on. Yeah, it's just too long for a rookie unless you have other priorities. Then you could look to hold, but yeah, it's a bit of a long stint, unfortunately. Errol Gordon, I wouldn't be moving off this pick. I think he's actually ripe for the picking after his bye, to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people look to jump on him after, you know, even look going into that Essendon, that Hawthorn game. So I don't know if his run is great. I know Sydney have had a pretty easy run so far. Good outside the bye, then comes a few tougher ones into their main bye. So, look, I think he's just going to be much better than what he has been to start the season. Obviously, he's lost a fair bit of cash in those 2 poorer games, but besides that, he's going to average closer to 110. You'd think. We saw what he was able to do last year, where I think it was averaging 117 or something like that. So, expect him to be better, just with a bit more consistency within the Sydney side with a few others to return. So I'd definitely be holding him for sure. Don't sideways trade your premiums. Same with Heaney. I'm not looking to move him on. I'm holding him. We saw a little bit of what it's going to look like with, Adams in there. Obviously, Parker is probably a bigger flag next week. So we'll see how that eventuates. Could be one that you're getting the front. You're getting a step ahead. If he does go, you're banking on him really going bad coming out of his bye with the return of Parker and Adams into that midfield, which I could see people jumping off. And yeah, but at the end of the day, it's very unlikely that he's gonna lose a heap of cash. Like let's say, in round 6 where he's come back and he plays mostly forward or half forward like we've seen in the past few years. And he puts up, let's just say, a 60 or a 70, he's not going to lose a heap of cash. He's got a break even of 94, so he may lose 10 to 15k. That's not a lot. He's over 900k. He's clearly the most expensive midfielder, forward. Goddamn. So yeah, I'm not too concerned, and I'm willing to hold him and watch for another week for sure. Jack Billingham needs to go. Burning cash. Been a really poor pick, unfortunately. Got trapped with that 140, which is, he was in my considerations. Luckily, didn't jump on. Charlie Dean, another red dot rookie. Yep. Happily for those that jumped on him after, a big score against Essendon and sort of expected the next 2 to be even better, just has been absolutely terrible. Especially last week, that was crazy. I don't know what happened there. Just got shut down. I don't know who he's playing on, but yeah, unreal. But yeah, definitely jump off. He's not gonna be that forward pick that you're sort of looking for, unfortunately. And there's definitely plenty of money on his head to move him on. So do that. George Wardlaw, it's probably not the week to move him on, unfortunately. He's got the Cats, who's a much easier matchup for him. So he's definitely not up there in my priority list to move on. Has he made you cash this year? 50k, that's not too bad, I guess. What's he got in the last 2? 49, yeah, it's a tougher matchup though. Both of those are pretty tough matchups for midfielders, so I can see why he's gone a bit lower. Really hasn't had a tough run to start the year, to be honest, so maybe these next 2 are, something that he needs just to get that cash generation going again. So I'd personally be looking to hold him if I had other issues. Like I said, it's all team dependent. If he's the only midfielder that is really struggling, or your only player that is really struggling, and you don't have other rookies that you can move on, then yeah, definitely do it, and he can get you up to that sort of top liner. Because you could probably easily go from him to a Bont if you don't have a Bont already. Probably not too many more to go here. Nick Blakey, for those that started him, not too many would have, I wouldn't have thought. Maybe close to 7-8%, not too bad. Has been okay, just, probably not the groundbreaking that you sort of expected. I think he did really well in the back end of last year, just hasn't probably captured that form again. But hasn't been terrible, so, but, yeah, made you some cash, so time to move him on. Definitely won't be around that top 6 defender, so definitely can go. And probably just a few more here. McKercher, again, I probably wouldn't be moving him on. Probably a couple of weeks early with his break even of 38. Yes, he only had the 50 last week, but hopefully he does move back again, and he goes back to averaging 75ish, and that will increase his cash generation again. He's got a much better run coming up in the next two, so it'll be interesting to see how he does, and I'm definitely looking to hold him and throw him back in a couple weeks' time. So there's that one. Ollie Wine's injured, but he should be back this week, so it's a bit interesting to see some people are jumping off again. Just again hasn't looked great, and I said it this in a couple of weeks ago that it's time to jump off him. Isn't going to be a huge cash generator for you, and is definitely out of flavour out of that Port Adelaide side. Couple here, Zach Fisher. People still jumping off him, even though he's been actually okay the last two. The last three, sorry. Fucking 85, 76, and 83. He's averaging over 80 in a weak forward line. Just I don't see why people are moving off him. I would just hold on to him. He's doing okay, and he's slowly generating some cash, which is okay. And Joe Clark, yeah, if he gets dropped, then definitely can move off him. Isn't going to make a huge amount of cash. Just isn't putting up decent scores, unfortunately. Has been good enough to earn us nearly 100k, but yeah, probably not going to make too much more with his low ceiling. So, but that's all I'll say for the defenders. I think that's not defenders, for the trade out targets. Not too many other crazy popular picks in my opinion. So we'll go from there. So to summarize what my main trade out targets would be. So Jordan would be definitely number one. It's his buy. It's time for him to go. Not going to make any more coin. So he's the perfect trade out target this week. Howe's definitely number two because he's bleeding cash. He's going to lose some of that cash generation that he's produced over the last couple of weeks. So he can go as well. And I think that's sort of a perfect trade. Most people, I think, are going these two to a Flanders and a Closey. I think he just needed about 100k in the bank to get that done. So definitely a perfect trade if he can get that done. Number three, I had Massimo because he's going to also start bleeding some cash with a higher break even. Just don't know what's happening at Hawthorn at the moment with not utilising him that much. Obviously, 65% time on ground. Whether that was just a bit of self-management with him being quite younger. But he's going to be a weapon for them, and hopefully he can bounce back this week. But at the end of the day, he's not going to make any more coin for you. So if you can move him on. Number four, I kind of shithoused it and said any red dot rookie can go. So say most of these Caulfields, Reeds, Moore, any of those can get moved on. Happy for them to go because there's plenty of defender rookie options to go to at the moment. We'll get into them when we go into the trade-in targets, but yeah. Number five, I had Zach Williams here as well. Just with, like I said, isn't going to make a huge amount of cash left. He's got a tougher game coming up this week. So be interesting to see how he goes. But yeah, if he facilitates your trade, definitely can move him on. And I did put a number 6 in here just because it's a bit unique. Well, not unique as such, but just different to what most people are doing. Brody Grundy is my 6th option, as if you hold him, obviously he is still quite highly owned at 40%. So I'd be also looking to move off him if you are holding him as a ruck. So, but that's the trade out target. Let's move into the trade in targets. A bit more guys that we want to look at, and obviously number one is Sam Closey. 36.2k are trading him in, which is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen a trade in target go that high, even over 20k. So yeah, that shows you how keen most people are to get him on. Obviously, he's the best rookie to pick up this week. Scored the 95, negative 22 break even. Looks really good and looks like he's going to be cemented into that side. So if you can't get him this week, then it's going to be real tough for you to get him next week. Because if he puts up, let's just say, what's he got here? 64 is going to give him 66k, which probably isn't accurate as such, but just as a general margin, is going to be over 300k quite easily. So, which isn't the worst thing. You can probably still pick him up next week, but definitely I'm personally picking him up this week because he's clearly the number one rookie to trade in. I think that's pretty straightforward. Sam Flanders is number 2, and I can see why. Has gone into the back line now, which should open up a fair few points for him. He's got Hawthorn this week, so it should be a pretty good matchup. The only thing I will say is there's a possible tag there, just depending if Finn comes in or not, or stays in the team. Just, we've seen Finn in the past couple of weeks just hasn't been able to tag as the way he used to in the last year, and isn't probably being used for those midfielders as such. So maybe he goes to an outside guy who is, got to be a bit more damaging, which would be a Flanders type. Probably wouldn't be able to go to Lukosius, obviously a bit more of an intercept defender, and I'm struggling to think who else he would go to. So he may be the number 1 target for a trade, for a tag if so. Yeah, definitely one to watch, but he's going to be the best top 3 forwards for the year. So definitely a good long-term trade, and you're just going to hold him for the year. So not too much concern there, just maybe not get the reward that you're looking for this week. Charlie Combin, tossing and turning between this pick. Obviously has a great negative break even. Obviously put up the 107 last week against the Lions in a tougher matchup, surprisingly. Just got it sort of done. Got 25 disposals as a key intercept defender. So, yeah, I'm personally waiting one more week if he can back it up again in a probably more friendly matchup for, not for everything really. So, I'm waiting to just wait and see. I'm hoping it's just a sort of flash in the pan. I don't have to trade him in because, don't think I'll be able to facilitate a trade at this point in time, but we'll see how we go. He'll be about 450k next week. I don't know what else to say really about him. I'm just not super confident. It's not sort of the type of player we usually pick, being a key position player, thrown in the back line. I don't think there's any too concerning with his job security. I think he's come in to play this role. Obviously, Toby Pink got dropped, and don't think there's too many players that are to come in. North Melbourne. Yeah, no, nothing too much to worry about there. So, yeah, definitely one you could pick up. Just not for me at this stage. Just want to see it for one more week, not just a one-hit wonder, But definitely a good pickup. Will Graham is the second rookie I'd be picking up as a downgrade option. He looked really good. Had some CBAs, which was really interesting to see. Looked really good in there as well. Didn't put up a huge score, but was definitely able to, score on multiple different lines, which was good to see. So there definitely could be a nicer matchup to come, because obviously, remember, this was a tougher matchup for midfielders. So we'll see how he goes this week, and he's probably right for the picking next week, which I'm hoping to do, and be about 300k, going up 27k this week. So yeah, definitely a good option there if you had already picked up a closey, as I know some people already had. So definitely a good one there. Tristan Cherry is an interesting one for me. Obviously, this must be the people that are jumping off like a Grundy. I personally wouldn't be trading to Cherry, even though it is considered a downgrade as such. You're making you're making 2k, surprisingly. So, but my question is, trading to him, he's not going to make a huge amount of money. Like, his break-even 65. What is he priced at? Let me give a quick indication of that. Let's just go. Let's just say he's priced at about 83, 84. So, is he going to average over 100 still? There's definitely a possibility of it. I won't not say no. Definitely has a few harder ones to come with Hawthorn. So it's a tricky one. I don't personally think it's a great option for me, just because I think at the end of the day you're going to have to trade Cherry to one of those top line ruckmen eventually anyway. So why not just save yourself that extra trade and just go to the top now? Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I don't think it's a great option for me personally. So, but if you're keen on it, and he can make 10 points of upside on him, so definitely could do it. Just not for me, unfortunately. Dane Zorko is an interesting one. I did speak about him last week a fair bit because I did look at trading him in, but it's just that age and that body of his that scares me off a little bit. I know he's going to be around that top 6 forwards and has been averaging there for the season so far, averaging well over 100. I did raise a flag that he will probably move forward again after McKenna comes back into the side in, I think it was next week. Back up to the top. Brisbane. McKenna. One week. So he should be back next week. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects him. If the only reason I can think people are trading in a Zorko is if they can't get up to a Flanders, even though Flanders is only 8k more expensive, and if you already had a Flanders as such, he's probably the next clearest option. So yeah, look, I'd be more than happy if that's your situation. Then yep, do it. I think because he's clearly the next best option. But if you can choose between a Flanders and him, I'd definitely go with Flanders. Just with the younger age and the body, I think is a bit more secure. So don't know if Zorko is going to last the entire season. Tom Power is still a good pickup target this week, just given his role and he's making some coin. Didn't have the best game last week, still scored the 89, which was good to see, obviously with the 15 tackles. So don't expect that every week, but it was good to see that he can score in other avenues with a bit more tackling pressure. So just needs to get more of the outside ball and actually take a few marks. So it reminds me a lot of a Tom Green, to be honest, with that sort of haircut and bit of build and loves the tackle and loves the cuddle. So he just needs to get his hand on the ball a little bit more. But yeah, definitely a good pickup. I still think he's going to be around that sort of top 6. Top 8 sort of forward, so definitely one we can hold on to for a fair while, if not hold for the season, if he can keep putting up this sort of average. So he's cheap and get onto him. Elliot Yeo is a interesting one. I see why people are jumping on him, but I've said from the start of the season that if you don't start with him, you're not jumping on, because at any point he could have an injury. But in saying that, he has been looking really good so far at the start of the season. Looks really fit, looks real healthy. Healthiest he's probably been in the last 3, 4, 5 seasons. So he's been managed in-game, obviously, with low time on ground, but he's still putting up the fantasy scores to get that done. So my only question is, why do we need defenders at this point in time when, in 2 weeks' time we're going to get, at least 3 or 4 guys going to go back there, a Martin, a Bonner, and a McKercher and a Roberts. Maybe Roberts and McKercher may not be in your side at that point in time. I understand that, but you still have a Martin at least. I'd say most people have him, and even if not a Bonner as well. So my team personally doesn't need defenders, and I think that's where most coaches are at. So personally, I wouldn't be trading in any defenders. I'd be trying to fix up your forward line a little bit. But at the end of the day, if you have a Flanders, and you're not confident on a Dan Zorko and you already had a Power, then yeah, I guess you can probably start to fill in those other lines and start to make some more cash. So don't hate it, but don't love it at the same time. Oliver Dempsey, I absolutely hate it. I don't know why people are trading him in this week still. He is 500k. He's not going to make a huge amount more. Does have a good week this week and probably has a tougher few next 3 or 4 weeks. So yeah, I don't think it's a great time to trade him in, unfortunately. I think you missed the boat. So look for that next target. Maybe go to a Combin, or, there's a few others there as well. So go with those. Wangani Malira, I think, is, again, similar to Elliot Yeo. He is cheap, and he is going to be around that mark of top 6. So just, again, I don't know if you need defenders at this point. But if you do, definitely a good option. Averaging over 100 at this point in time, and I think he's only priced at 93, so he's got a few points of upside there, and you're going to be around that mark. So, and has a pretty good matchup next week, not this week or even the week after that with Port. So yeah, a bit of an up and down. Expect up and down scores of them, which we've seen so far. Just one good, one bad, one good, one bad, I would say this week, and then has one good one. So it's just what to expect from him, I think. Rob Marshall is one I'm picking up this week. Love his run to come up. not too concerned with the comments Ross said about resting him. He's pretty much did this all last year, and look what happened. It never happened. So, yeah, not too concerned there. And I think he's about to go big, and happy to jump on him. It's going to be around top 2 ruckman quite easily, I think. I think it's pretty much Gawn then Marshall. I'm expecting, or tossing between those two. I think English has dropped a fair bit away from these two, given that Sam Darcy, I think Sam Darcy, isn't it? Yeah, Darcy is taking a few more of those hitouts and probably reducing his ceiling a little bit more. So, yeah, I just don't think English is there at this time of the year. He may turn around at some stage if Darcy gets injured or something like that, but we'll have to wait and see. But definitely think Marshall is ripe for the picking. He's going to go up in coin now. He's bottomed out. I know he's still over $1 million. Would have been nice if he dropped below, but you can't always look at the money. You just got to get the points on field at the end of the day. Jason Horne-Francis is an interesting one. He's definitely having a breakout year in my eyes. He looks really good to the eye. Looks really fit, and yeah, from all reports, he's playing really well. I don't know why his time on ground was so low. Is maybe the only flag. I didn't even notice that until just now, but had the 30 disposals. Probably gets more tackles than that usually, but yeah, looks really good. Can probably push like an 80 to a 90 average. I just don't know how many points are really available, given that you have Rosie and Butters in there already. So yeah, I definitely don't see those three averaging over 100 each. So yeah, not super keen on him, but definitely a one to watch. I would love if he was a forward though, like he was last year. That would be handy and definitely would be on my radar. Just not as a midfielder at this point in time. Like I said, we're not looking to bring any midfielders in just yet until round sort of 6, where team structures start to open up a little bit more and we have a bit more flexibility. Couple more here. Jeremy Sharp, I think it's a tough one because his break-even's so low, but it's so hard. Got a tough matchup this week. Easier matchup the next probably 3, and then a tough one again. Oh, yeah. I just think it's so late, man. He's made over 200k already. Is he really going to go up that much more? I can see that he's maybe going to... Well, let's just say... I predicted that he would sort of average a 70, and that'd sort of be his probably price range. So, in saying that, he probably earns another 230k if he can get up to a 70 average. So, that's still 200k that you can jump on. So, if you can do it, then do it. But it just feels dirty for me, to be honest, because more than likely you're downgrading a failed mid-pricer. So the only way I'd probably do that is if you've downgraded a failed mid-pricer to him, and then you've used the remaining cash on his head, on whoever's head you're trading out, to do another trade on the other side to get him up to someone else, then maybe that's okay. Just, yeah, not super keen on paying nearly 500k for a rookie at the end of the day. Jack Steele, love it. I think he is back and he is absolutely killing it this year, even though he does have a tougher matchup this week. He looks really good, and yeah, would love to have him. Just can't get him at this point in time, and he's still quite cheap for what he is going at. So jump on him if you can. Just, yeah, enough said. Lockie Whitfield, yeah, people are jumping on now that he's done with his bye and everything. He looks to go big this week, I would expect. St Kilda a pretty soft matchup for them. Was a bit of an injury concern last week with an eye injury, but not too much to concern there, and hasn't dropped below a ton yet. So he looks to be cemented in that top 6 defender at this point in time. Nick Martin, if you don't have him, jump on him. I think he is one that is going to hurt you quite heavily. We've obviously seen a high ceiling from him previously. The time on ground is just elite as well. I don't think the run is too horrendous or too bad. So, yeah, he hasn't done too bad to start the season. And definitely going to be top 6 defender as well. So, and super cheap. So, probably the one I'd prefer to go with. But he's unfortunately a midfielder only at this point in time. Marcus Bontempelli, obviously a lot of people jumping on this week now that he's back in form and scored that 149. looked really good in that game. And yeah, could go big in the next 2 or 3 weeks. He's got a fairly nice matchup to go before his bye. So yeah, definitely one to look at in a bit of a sneak peek for what I'm looking at doing later. Harry Sheasel, people jumping on him, even though he is so expensive at this point in time, nearly at $1 million, but he just looks like the best player in the competition at some stages. Just doesn't know how to drop below 120. Yeah, so consistent. And even in a tougher matchup last week, got it done. So he looks really good. So if you can pay up for him, then it's a safe pick. But I think at this time of the year, you're really looking for the value if you can. So even if you save that 40k and go to Lockie Whitfield, then that's an option you could do. Wangani Malira as well, another 100 and something k, 140k cheaper. I know you're probably losing 20 odd points on him, but you really got to find the value at this time of year and not use all your cash, because you can use that extra 140k next week to get another upgrade rather than have to, force yourself into a double downgrade next week. So try and hunt the value, but at the end of the day, I don't hate it. He's going to be cleared number 1 or 2 sort of as a defender. How many more we got to go here? Probably a couple more. Mark Keane. See, I'm not super keen on this pick. I won't even laugh at that. That was stupid. But not super. Yeah, not. I don't want to say it again. Not happy with this pick just because we're not. Like I said, we're not looking for defenders at this point in time. Oh, that changed on me. Don't know how that happened. Yeah, not looking for defenders, especially not mid-price defenders at this point in time. I know he's going to make some coin and has gone back to back 90s. Do I think it's sustainable? Probably not. I know he's taking a lot of kick-ins. But at the end of the day, like I said, I think this is one I'm happy to pass on, given that we have other issues in our team to promote in this other side. So like your forward line, you want to get those upgraded rather than just sideways trade a Williams or a what's his name, D'Ambrosio. Probably saying that wrong, but yeah, don't think it's the greatest pick. In the day, if you need a D6, I don't hate it, but I think most people are in the same boat where they don't need defenders. People are trading in Max Gawn, which is one I'm very interested in. Obviously, he's going really well, and I think he's going to be the number 1 ruck. Just with his bye next week is a bit of a stinging point for me. Just doesn't feel right to be trading in someone for 1 week. Then obviously on the bye, but he is going to be a hold for the year unless an injury strikes him down. But I don't think that's going to happen too quickly. So yeah, I do like the pick. Just not super keen on it. Lloyd Meek, hate it, don't do it. Here's a trap. He'll get you. Don't you worry about that. But in saying that, he did come up against a hard matchup last week and did quite well. And even the Cats, I don't think are too hard of a matchup. Let's have a quick look at that. He's not one I've super been looking at, to be honest. Just not super keen. So Collingwood, where's Collingwood? Collingwood's on the bye. Doesn't help me. Collingwood are a harder matchup. Who else did he have? He had Geelong. What are Geelong? Geelong are a decent hard matchup too. So he's got a hard matchup this week as well. It'll be interesting to see how he goes once he gets to sort of those easier guys. But all that really takes for him is one poor game, and then I could easily see him being chopped out of the side and they go back to Ned Reeves. It's just so unsure. Unless they come out and say, here's our main ruckman, I don't think I'm super keen on it, and I don't think his ceiling is going to be super high either. So not so keen, but definitely could be a season-winning pick if you can get him in. Yeah, he does. He can continue at these 90s. Like, I don't even know what he's priced at. Let's just say he's priced at 65. Yeah, he's about 65. 90, that's 25 points of upside. So that could be a real game changer. So don't hate it, don't love it. Just, bit in the middle for me. Ramsden is probably another good rookie pickup. Scored the 60. 2 break even. Just watch if he's in the side. Obviously very fringe. Only come in every so often. So big watch on him. People trading in Luke Jackson. Is that right? Am I on the right tab? Surely not. Surely not. Yeah, very weird. He's got Sean Darcy, who should be back this week. I'm pretty sure. Sean Darcy is a test for this week. So I think I said in my review series that if you had Luke Jackson, I'd be holding this week because obviously they're probably going to manage Sean Darcy with a lot of minutes. They do have an easier ruck matchup this week and next week, even the week after. Oh, I think next 4 weeks, to be honest. Yeah, that's a very easy matchup for them. I didn't even notice this. Where is he? Frio. Bang, 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 bang. 4 really good ones. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. I personally wouldn't be trading into him just because of that Sean Darcy flag. But, yeah, I wouldn't be trading him out of him just yet either. So, yeah, would be holding him if you had him, but I would be avoiding him if you don't have him and you're looking to trade him in. Definitely wouldn't be doing that. Just probably won't hit the ceilings that you're looking for. Hasn't done super great in my opinion. Probably gone about what you sort of expected from him. What has he made? 50k. It's not too bad in the end of the day. So yeah, and put up some decent scores. So, but yeah, definitely wouldn't be looking to trade him in. Bonner, I think too late. Is 650k now. That's just ridiculous. Again, what is he priced at? 70? No, it's at 70. About 73, I think. Yeah, about 73. So I don't see him going up too much more. Realistically, I see him more of an 80 player. So maybe has a few more points of upside, but his cash is going to keep going up for a fair little bit while with some bigger scores. So what's his run like? Harder matchup this week. Good next week. Poor that week. And then a couple of easy ones, I think. So very up and down, but definitely feels dirty to jump on him. I think it's too late and you just move on. Liam Baker off his bye. Was one I looked at last week as well, just with how well he's been scoring, but he's always been that sort of Mr. Fix-It for them. He's definitely capable of putting up a very big stinker, and that's probably just enough to flag them, scare me off. So, but he definitely could go quite big in these next 2 for sure. But yeah. Oh, sorry, he didn't play last week. He's only up to get West Coast this week. So, again, with a bye, it's probably one I'm not looking at going into. Alright, I'll probably finish it there. Quickly, Hayden Young, I like it. Going to be around that top 6. Loman's a good rookie option to get in if you need a forward. Clark looks really good, just very consistent. Probably not quite around that top 6 mark, but is doing well enough. Rosie looks elite, happy with him. Probably not looking at De Koning, no matter how well he's doing. He's averaging 90, which is surprising. But he's priced at nearly 700k, so probably not for me. Zach Merritt's been doing the best so far this season, but probably not looking to spend up on the coin at this point in time. So not too happy there. And I think I'll stop it there, to be honest. So, to summarize, my main 5 trade-in targets for this round would be, so Flanders number 1. If you look, so I'll talk about the main upgrade targets first, and then I'll talk about rookies after. So my main first target would be Sam Flanders. Obviously, I spoke about him being top 3 forward, but again, he could be having a tag this week. I don't think it's super likely, but it's definitely could be a possibility. Just knowing Hawthorn a little bit, just so could be one that could be a bit of a worry. My second option would be Jack Steele. I think he is a lot of value. Yeah, we've seen what we can do in the past few years. He's averaging that currently. Definitely going to make a fair bit of coin. Has a not too bad a run to come. I just think he'll get it done. Loves a tackle, so he doesn't mind when it's contested. He's getting a lot of outside ball as well with a few marks, so he just gets the ball, gets the ball anywhere, and he gets just points all throughout the field. He can have that ceiling score where he has over 30 touches. Isn't a huge accumulator. Obviously, averages closer more to 25 to 30 disposals. Rarely goes over 30, but he definitely is capable of putting up, a 35 plus disposal plus 10 tackles plus probably 6 or 7 marks. So he could easily go over 150, and I can definitely see it in his future this year for sure. So I love him as a pick. Definitely going to be probably a top 8 midfielder at this point in time, and he's super cheap. Bont is my third best pickup, just given that he is bottomed out in price now. He's got a great run to come. He's back in form after that big 149. What I was going to say? Yeah, he just looks primed for the picking if I didn't have him. But luckily I do, and I don't need to worry about it. Number 4, I had Rosie. I wish I sort of started with him. I sort of got scared off with that forward status a little bit more, but yeah, he doesn't look like he is missing a beat. Hasn't obviously rose up huge amount in cash because he did so well last year, but he just looks like he's a super consistent guy. Yeah, I don't know what to say. He just looks like his floor is very high, given that he's the captain of the side. Knows how to accumulate the ball. His teammates look for him, so he's getting a lot more of those marks. Just doesn't really do a lot of the tackling because he's a bit more of a half forward in that sense, where he, is a bit more damaging on the outside. So he lets those grunt guys get in there and get the dirty work. So, but I love him as a trading target. He's still under $1 million. I think he will pop over $1 million at some stage this year. And finally, as number 5, I had Rowan Marshall as my 5th most traded in target. Like I said, great run, prime for the picking, like bottomed out in price. Obviously, we got the bye with Grundy, so it's a perfect time to jump off him onto these top line guys, and I think he's just ready to go. So very good for him. And moving on to the most main rookie targets. So obviously, Sam Closey, number 1, clear. Don't even talk about it. Negative break even, great. Will Graham is probably the second one I'll talk about. I think he's really good. Yeah, I'm looking to pick him up next week as long as everything goes well. I can't imagine anything will go too wrong with him if he can keep the same role. Third, I had Comben. I put him in the rookie targets just because he is sort of more rookie price than a midfield price. He's going to make coin at the end of the day, so over the next 3-4 weeks, maybe he can make over 100k if he can just have some decent scores. But we all know that he is quite injury prone and can definitely put up a 30 on our head for sure, like the other key defenders that have been doing like a pink. So why not just want to watch for another week. Fourth, I had Lohman as the pickup target. I just think he is much more closer to being in their best 22. Obviously, he's played every single game for the year. Just, quite shocking scores because he has had. Why did I do that? Where is he? Has had super low time on ground because I think he's been the sub for every single game. So if he can get some string of games together where he actually plays full games, which he played super well last week with the 2 goals won, I think he has to stay in that side. So definitely one to jump on, I think. And finally, I had Ramsden as the 5th option. Looks pretty good as that. I think he had a few hit outs, so he did chop in the ruck a little bit, so that gives him a few extra points there. Took some good marks, had some pressure, got some decent disposals. So, yeah, hopefully he can kick a few goals and score some points. So, definitely a good one as well. But enough of the trade-in targets. Hopefully that gives you some idea of who to look at. I think at this point in the week, most people have their trades already locked in, but hopefully I probably haven't mentioned anything that no one else has, so nothing too shocking there. Let's just quickly look at my trade in this week. So pretty straightforward. I've gone James Jordan to Closey, and then I've gone Brody Grundy to Marshall. I'm pretty much just locked into this at this point in time. I think this is what I've been planning to do since round 2 or round 3. So really happy with these trades. I think it's going to work out in my favour quite heavily. Just love these two sitting next to each other, and I think that's puts me in good stead for the year. Not a fan of my forward line this week, obviously with the 3 forward rookies, but best 18, hopefully we will be fine. I think I've thrown Massimo on the bench because there's actually no way I can field Closey and these 6 defenders, which is a bit unfortunate. So I'm going to run Massimo or even a Williams now that I know he has a tougher matchup this week. I think because Massimo has a easier matchup. Sorry, I'll just run through this with you guys because you like to see everything. So, hold on. They're a slightly easier matchup for general defenders, which I believe he is. If I could find that. Or was he a winger? He's probably more of a winger, isn't he? I'm going over the shop. He's more of a winger. But that's even better, I want to say. Yeah, that's even better for him. So, maybe I might even switch that to, say, a Williams and do that instead. Yeah, hopefully he bounces back. But then if he does terribly and under, say, a 50, then I can throw a Closey on and just take the punt. Hopefully he can go better. Just playing a bit of, looping action to sort of get the most maximized amount of points on my field as possible. What else can I say? Probably my captains this week. So I'm looking at going Gorn into Bontempelli, I think. I'm still tossing up and turning with what. I've got a fair few captain options that I've been looking at this week, so need to sort of dive in a little bit more, but probably a good segue into my top 5 captains for this week. So looking at the fixture, we'll just go through one by one. Thursday, I think Gorn against, what's his name? The Big O will be quite good. He's put up a 162 last year against him when he was solo ruck. So, and that was last year. Big O was actually quite a restrictive ruck. So he's actually been quite easy this year. So it'll be interesting to see how well Gorn goes. Obviously, Gorn was quite tired last week. So be interesting to see if they manage a medal. But I think it's going to be a good contest. Hopefully, Brisbane Lions can bounce back and make it a close contest so that they have to keep going on the field. But I think he could definitely have a huge ceiling score for now. I don't think there's anyone too relevant here. Wouldn't be doing Dunkley or Neil, anyone from here. And even a Petrarca or a Oliver, whoever you're looking at here, probably not too keen on there. This is going to be an interesting one because I think Bontempelli could go really well. Liberatore could go up well. But also on the other side, you've got Merritt that could do really good things. You've got Martin as defenders against Bulldogs could really well. Even a Parish, if you're doing a Parish, maybe not. Tom Green, Whitfield, those likes could definitely go really well against St Kilda. Probably wouldn't look at a steal or even a Wangani Malura from Saints, just given how hard Giants have been, and it's at Canberra, so Canberra has been a very up and down scoring field for the last year particularly. I think Tom Green went 170 one week and then had like an 80 at another week, so it's very up and down, I think. Not too keen from anyone here. If you want to throw a Dawson, it's not a huge. I think Colton are like a neutral matchup there, so definitely not the worst case if you're running a Dawson. Most people aren't running a Laird. Sorry, let me just go drink. Yeah, so could do a Dawson. Could do a Flanders, even though I said there could be a flag, a tag coming. But yeah, could definitely have a ceiling score. Probably no one from Hawthorn we're looking at. Again, probably tougher, but both of them. Probably not looking at any of them. So no Freo players, knowing how restricted Port is, and no Port players, knowing how restrictive Freo is. Probably no super ceiling scores from North Melbourne. Maybe an LDU if you're still running him, but hasn't really shown that ceiling so far. So it'd be pretty brave, and you'd have to probably go with the C with him. So I don't think anyone's too brave to do that. And probably wouldn't look at Powell either, even though he does have a pretty good matchup against these guys. And maybe Tom Stewart if you're keen, but I think North Melbourne are a pretty tough matchup for, those designated kickers. And then probably only, Taranto I'd probably consider for West Coast Eagles, but I don't think too many people are running him, and probably no one from West Coast. So, but my top 5 captain options for this week would be, number 1 would be Gorn, great VC option. I think he could put up a definitely big ceiling score. Number 2, I have Bont. He went 128 against, who did they go against? Essendon last year. So I definitely think that's definitely on the cards, and I think it's probably a very safe sort of 120 area for him, knowing what Rosie did last week. Number 3, I have Rowan Marshall. He went 138 against Briggs last year, and that was when Briggs was solo as well. So definitely could be a good option there. I've gone number 4 with Nick Martin. We've seen what he was able to do against St Kilda, who was a very easy matchup a couple weeks ago. He now comes up against the Bulldogs, who are also a very easy matchup at Marvel, where he did it last time. He could go big again. So, yeah, definitely love that option. It's just probably more for the Brave. Probably wouldn't put the C on him. Probably more of his VC option. So it's just who you're rolling into after that. Like I said, there's not too many more options after that. Probably first 3 games. And then I've also gone with a Lockie Whitfield as number 5. Hasn't scored well against St Kilda in the past. I think it was like 290s last year. But I think he just looks so much better this year than he has in the previous years. Looks fit, so I think he could definitely put up a good ceiling score there. Just obviously it is in, the middle of nowhere in Canberra. So, yeah, I don't know quite how well it's going to go. Like I said, some other considerations I had was LDU, Dawson. Dawson did put up 133 against Carlton last year, but there is a concern that Hewitt may tag him this week because he has been doing a bit of a tagging job. Tom Green is probably another decent one, but he's only gone 111 and 112 last year against them. And like I said, at that oval, who knows what's going to happen. I haven't considered Sheasel at all this week, even though he has been the most consistent player so far this season. Just, it is a very, very hard matchup this week against the Cats. They don't give up points to defenders or kicking defenders. So, but if anyone can deny them, I think he could do it. So he's probably one you could roll into if you don't have any other options. And another one I probably could have put into calculations was Zach Merritt. Obviously, he's the number 1 scoring player so far this year. You'd think against Western Bulldogs, there's plenty of points, chip in. He usually normally comes back into the back line and helps out there a fair bit and gets some chip ball. So could definitely be a good option, but he only had an 88 against him last year. So just one not in my calculations. I'm just using stats a lot to determine my captain. So, but I think that will pretty much be it for this week. So definitely I'll probably go Gorn into Bontempelli, or I may even go Gorn into Marshall. Just, I'm not a huge fan of putting the C straight onto a player I've traded in. I just want them to do well. When I first trade them in, and throwing the C straight on them can be quite intimidating because that's kind of like a double whammy if they do end up going badly. So I know it's probably weird. I'm probably the only one that thinks like that, but it's just for me. I think that's just how it is, and obviously the flag of him being rested is enough to probably throw me off on the C right there. So, but I don't think there's anything else to really worry about. I don't think I need to talk about anything else. I think I've talked enough about the early buys. Obviously, let's talk about who to trade in, who to trade out, who to hold. Obviously, next week we've got a few round 6 players that we need to look at as well. But all right, I'll leave it there, I think. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Hopefully it helps you with your trades a little bit, and hopefully I've, spoken about some stuff that maybe some other content creators hasn't. Gone through all the runs and everything for each pick. So, but I think this week's been pretty straightforward with the Closey just putting his hand up for everybody. So that's the clearest downgrade option. So yeah, been pretty easy going week, I think. So, but that's enough gibbering from me. Hopefully you've enjoyed. I will leave you until next week. So have a good week. Hopefully your players kill it, and hopefully your rank improves. Have a good one.